Matt, a pretty varied and colourful career in many ways.
Indeed. Let me just remind you of what another former vice president said about this job. This was John Nance Garner, I think, back in the 1920s it was, who said this job isn't worth a pitcher of warm spit. Some people think he might have used another bodily fluid. The point is that has changed in many ways. Dick Cheney, the man who is disliked by many Americans, the man who we just saw on screen earlier, is the man who's perhaps raised the office of vice president to something more powerful than it has ever been before. And although Joe Biden will not upstage his boss, Barack Obama, in any way, and Barack Obama chose Joe Biden perhaps because he won't upstage him, the fact is that he will form a very important part of Team Obama, of that new team that is going to govern from the White House. He has enormous foreign policy experience. I wouldn't be surprised if Hillary Clinton was a little bit nervous about that experience, because she, of course, will be in charge of selling American diplomacy around the world. Interestingly enough, he was in Iraq only last week, doing what future secretaries of state will do, doing what he might carry on doing when he actually becomes vice president. He is an enormous rock of stability and experience to Barack Obama, who's after all only 47 years old, and as we famously found out during the election campaign, did not have that much foreign policy experience. So choosing Joe Biden, having him by his side, completes the Obama picture of this presidency.
What would be the difference between a Biden and a Cheney vice presidency?
Well, I think first I echo the point about the vice presidency. Woodrow Wilson said there's nothing to say about the vice presidency, and after you've said that, there's nothing more to say. But it's changed, dramatically changed. And it began in many ways with Richard Nixon, who under Eisenhower did a lot of travel and was very much invested in Cold War issues. But to answer your question, I think Biden, as you were saying, Matt, will be very mindful of the fact that he cannot eclipse Obama. He's got to be in his shadow. On the other hand, he does have extraordinary experience, especially in foreign policy, and he's going to be a pillar of support for this administration.
I decided to come back.
And this is the formal start now of the inauguration ceremony for this 44th president.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, Barack H. Obama. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
I have to say the applause on our rooftop here just near the Capitol is deafening. That is a crowd of millions applauding their new leader. And this is the realization of that dream that Martin Luther King spoke about. in the early 1960s.
Notice also, Hugh, that the announcement is Barack H. Obama. H, of course, stands for Hussein. When he takes the oath of office, he will say Barack Hussein Obama. That middle name has been very controversial throughout the campaign, but it sends an enormously important signal to many people around the world, and especially in the Middle East. A signal that precedes today's speech, that precedes any policy that comes from this White House.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Dianne Feinstein.
Mr. President and Vice President, Mr. President-elect and Vice President-elect, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inauguration of the 44th President of the United States of America. The world is watching today as our great democracy engages in this peaceful transition of power. Here on the National Mall, where we remember the founders of our nation and those who fought to make it free, we gather to etch another line in the solid stone of history. The freedom of a people to choose its leaders is the root of liberty. In a world where political strife is too often settled with violence, we come here every 4 years to bestow the power of the presidency upon our democratically elected leader. Those who doubt the supremacy of the ballot over the bullet can never diminish the power engendered by nonviolent struggles for justice and equality, like the one that made this day possible. No triumph tainted by brutality could ever match the sweet victory of this hour and of what it means to those who marched and died to make it a reality. Our work is not yet finished, but future generations will mark this morning as the turning point for real and necessary change in our nation. They will look back and remember that this was the moment when the dream that once echoed across history from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial finally reached the walls of the White House. In that spirit, we today not only inaugurate a new administration, we pledge ourselves to the hope, the vision, the unity, and the renewed call to greatness inspired by the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. Thank you, and God bless America. At this time, I call upon Dr. Rick Warren, pastor of the Saddleback Church in Lake Forest, California, to provide the invocation.